Hello and welcome once again to Mission World Cup, our weekly blog here on DailyO, where we are tracking the fortunes of the men in blue at the Cricket World Cup, where the news just keeps getting better. India's defeated its arch rivals Pakistan in a comprehensive manner. What are the 5 big reasons I think that India was so good versus the Pakistanis? Number 1, contrast the two sides when it came to dealing with pressure. Remember, India versus Pakistan is a game that's played as much in the mind as it is on the field of play. And the Indians were just so much calmer under pressure. It almost seemed that they were reveling in the big occasion. They were smiling, there was a constant sense of being relaxed in the big game. And I think the team management deserves a lot of credit for that. By contrast, the Pakistanis were all over the place. They were disorganized, chaotic, appeared nervous, whether in the fielding or whether in the bowling. And you got a sense somewhere that the Pakistanis just could not match the Indians when it came to the mental side of the game this time. That's number 1. Reason number 2 is the fact that in Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, we have 2 world-class players who would get into any all-time India one-day 11 in my view. Rohit Sharma is in the form of his life. He's building his innings, he looks comfortable all the time, he's got magical shots, and it seems he's at the peak of his powers. Virat Kohli, what does one say of someone who's just a run machine, averages nearly 60 in one-day cricket? Between the duo, if one doesn't get you, the other will. And against Pakistan, both got the Pakistanis. I think that made a huge difference to have our 2 world-class players playing at the peak of their powers. Number 3 is our spinners. Now, there are various words being used, I know, for Kuldeep Yadav and Yuzvendra Chahal. One of which I like is KULCHA. Kuldeep and Chahal are KULCHA. But they make a huge difference because in those middle overs, they offer you an attacking option and they can control the runs. And that's very rare. Kuldeep Yadav bowled a ball which is clearly the ball of the World Cup so far. He got the best Pakistani batsman Babar Azam out, and I think that's where the Pakistanis were deflated. To watch that ball spin and beat Babar's defensive prod, it was a magical moment. And I think Kuldeep Yadav has truly arrived on the world stage. Chahal is bowling superbly. As a pair, they give Virat Kohli a lot of control in those crucial middle overs, and that's where the wicket stumbled after Babar was bowled by Kuldeep Yadav. So our spin duo is the 3rd reason why we did so well. The Pakistanis had no one in comparison. Number 4 is the fact is this Pakistan team is a team in a crisis. They've constantly chopped and changed. In fact, their best bowler, Mohammad Amir, was only drafted in at the last moment into the side. You can't win a World Cup without a settled side. And the fact is, the Pakistanis at the moment are extremely unsettled. And I think a lot of their players are really past their sell-by date. They are a team on the decline with no real new talent emerging, barring 1 or 2 batsmen. So I think this was a very average Pakistani side. I know they won the Champions Trophy 2 years ago, and they can on that day turn it on as they did against England. But honestly, man for man, they are no match for the team from India. The men in blue, way too superior. So a Pak team in crisis is my 4th reason for explaining this comprehensive victory. 5th and finally is an interesting one. I believe that the Pakistanis psychologically are defeated when they play India in a World Cup match. Look, we won 7-0, 7 matches against some of the better Pakistani teams in the past as well. And I think as Misbah-ul Haq told us at our Salam Cricket Conclave, he said they think that there is some jadoo tona, black magic, that when they play India, koi kuch kar raha hai, and they are psychologically gone in the head. That's what's happening to them when they play India in a World Cup match. They actually don't have the self-belief. They actually think that India is going to win and defeat them every time in a World Cup match. A bit like how we used to feel in Sharjah in the 1980s after Javed Miandad hit a last ball 6. So I think the Pakistanis psychologically are simply unprepared in a World Cup match till they can break this jinx of black magic as Misbah called it. One last thing. I think one must be gracious in victory, which is why I thought that for the Home Minister Amit Shah to liken this to a strike against Pakistan or the surgical strike was a bit over the top. Truth is, we won a cricket match because we played well. Truth is, sport is not war. Cricketers are not soldiers. Let's celebrate this victory, but remember, the real celebration will be on July 14th when we win the World Cup. That's when the chest thumping should begin. Till then, I just say sorry to my Pakistani friends. You're not good enough, guys. And I'm glad that you found humor even when you've been losing. Somebody said the Pakistani team was going to score 500, 350 by the Indians, 150 by the Pakistanis. Another friend had a classic line. He said, ये गेम ऐसे चल रहा है, जब पाकिस्तानी बैटिंग कर रहे हैं तो लगता है बॉलिंग पिच है, जब बॉलिंग कर रहे हैं तो बैटिंग पिच है. Good to have that sense of humor. At the end of the day, it's a game of cricket, not necessarily a matter of life and death. On that note, thanks for listening to Mission World Cup. Back next week as the juggernaut of the Men in Blue continues to roll forward.